Your body is not a silent object moving through time at random. It is a living intelligence, a vast inner universe composed of trillions of cells, each one responsive, each one aware in its own quiet way. Long before you learned to speak, long before you formed conscious thoughts, this inner intelligence was already at work, organizing growth, repairing damage, sustaining life without instruction or effort. It has never stopped listening. Yet most people move through life unaware that a constant conversation is taking place beneath the surface of awareness. A conversation between thought and tissue, between belief and biology, between the words you speak and the conditions your body faithfully produces. This is the lost language of inner healing, not forgotten because it is untrue, but because it is so subtle it was never taught. Joseph Murphy reminded us that the body is not separate from the mind, nor is it ruled by chance or fate. It is shaped by the impressions impressed upon the subconscious. Every idea accepted by the subconscious becomes a command, and the body responds with exact obedience. This is not metaphor alone. It is law. Just as the soil brings forth the seed planted within it without question, the subconscious brings forth conditions that correspond to the images and emotions it receives. Your body is the visible record of invisible beliefs, faithfully expressing what it has been told to accept as true. Most people never speak to their body consciously, yet they are speaking to it all day long. They say, "I'm tired," and the body responds with fatigue. They say, "My body is failing," and the cells receive that image as instruction. They say, "This will never get better," and the subconscious records it as final. These words are not casual, they are decrees. Spoken repeatedly, especially with emotion, they settle into the deeper mind and become patterns. The body does not argue, it does not resist, it simply obeys. This is where misunderstanding begins. People believe the body has turned against them, that it is stubborn, broken, or defective. In truth, it has been loyal beyond measure. It has carried out every order given to it, even the unconscious ones. When fear dominates the mind, the body produces tension. When hopelessness becomes habitual, the body slows its processes. When resentment is stored for years, the body holds that pressure in nerves and tissues. Nothing happens without cause, and the cause is always mental before it becomes physical. To speak to your body is not imagination or wishful thinking. It is direct communication with the subconscious mind, the same intelligence that regulates heartbeat, digestion, immunity, and cellular renewal. Murphy referred to this intelligence as the inner physician, the divine life principle within. It is the power that healed wounds when you were a child, that restored balance countless times without your awareness, that has never abandoned its task. It is impartial, exact, and responsive. It does not judge the content of your thoughts. It simply accepts and acts upon them. The lost language of inner healing is the language of belief, image, and feeling. The subconscious does not respond to logic or argument. It responds to impressions. When you speak to your body with conviction, when your words carry emotional certainty, they pass beyond the surface mind and impress the deeper levels where healing begins. This is why casual affirmations often fail. Words spoken without belief have no authority. But words spoken with feeling become living instructions. The body listens most closely when the mind is calm. Fear blocks communication. Force creates resistance. Criticism closes the channel entirely. But gentleness, certainty, and trust open the door. When you speak to your body as you would to a loyal companion, you restore cooperation. You remind the subconscious of the pattern it already knows: health, harmony, balance, life. Imagine for a moment that your body is a devoted servant who has never questioned your orders. If you constantly tell it that it is weak, it must produce weakness. If you tell it that it is failing, it must express failure. If you speak to it with patience and clarity, it responds in kind. The fault has never been in the body. The misunderstanding has been in the language used to address it. Joseph Murphy taught that every organ, every function, every cell responds to thought. This is not symbolic speech. The subconscious translates ideas into biological action. Hormones, immune responses, muscle tension, and even genetic expression are influenced by the mental patterns impressed upon the deeper mind. When fear dominates, The body prepares for threat. When peace is impressed, the body moves toward restoration. The subconscious cannot distinguish between imagined and real experience. It responds to the emotional reality you provide. This is why silent suffering persists for so many. They seek healing only at the surface level, treating symptoms while repeating the same inner dialogue that produced them. They wait for external intervention while continuing to speak inwardly in the language of doubt and defeat. Over time, the body reflects this conflict, and frustration grows. The body feels like an enemy. In truth, it has been obeying faithfully all along. Healing begins the moment you change the conversation. Not with force, not with desperation, but with understanding. When you recognize that your words are creative, you reclaim authority. You become the conscious director rather than the unconscious victim. You stop speaking from fear and begin speaking from truth. Truth in this context is not denial of present conditions. It is recognition of the deeper law at work. You do not need to pretend symptoms do not exist. You need to impress the subconscious with a higher image that replaces the old pattern. Just as darkness disappears when light is introduced, disorder dissolves when harmony is impressed. This is why inner imagery is so powerful. The subconscious thinks in pictures. When you repeatedly imagine your body as weak, strained, or damaged, that image becomes the blueprint. When you replace it with an image of strength, ease, and vitality, the subconscious begins reorganizing the body to match that picture. The body follows the mind's lead without hesitation. The language of inner healing is simple, but it must be sincere. Phrases spoken with fear underneath only reinforce fear. Murphy advised choosing statements that feel believable, statements that carry calm certainty rather than strain. If saying, "I am perfectly healed," creates resistance, then say, "The healing power within me is restoring balance now." The subconscious responds to the feeling behind the words, not the perfection of the phrase. As belief grows, your language naturally changes. What once felt impossible becomes expected. The words gain authority because they are rooted in experience. This is not self-deception. It is alignment with a law that has always been operating. The most effective time to speak to your body is when the conscious mind is quiet. The moments before sleep are especially powerful. As you drift into rest, the critical faculties relax. The subconscious becomes open and receptive. Whatever you impress at this time enters deeply and begins working immediately. Murphy emphasized that the last thoughts before sleep shape the experiences of tomorrow. To fall asleep speaking words of health is to give the subconscious a clear command to work through the night. In this drowsy state, speak gently. Whisper if you wish. The tone matters more than volume. Speak to your body with respect. Address it as a living intelligence, not a malfunctioning object. Say, "My body knows how to heal. Every cell is responding to divine order. Life flows freely through me now." As you speak, imagine the body responding, relaxing, aligning, restoring itself with ease. Do not force images. Let them arise naturally. See yourself moving freely. Feel the relief of ease. Sense the quiet confidence of wholeness. These feelings are the language the subconscious understands. It accepts them as reality and begins producing corresponding results. Gratitude accelerates the process. Gratitude signals completion. When you feel thankful as if healing is already underway, you impress the subconscious with certainty. The inner physician responds immediately to that tone. Gratitude is not for what you hope will happen. It is acknowledgement of the power already at work. There is no need to monitor progress anxiously. That returns you to doubt. The gardener does not dig up the seed to see if it is growing. You speak the word, you plant the image, and you trust the law to operate. Interference slows the process. Confidence allows it to unfold naturally. Fear, resentment, guilt, and feelings of inferiority are the main obstacles to inner healing. These states distort communication with the subconscious. Fear impresses images of danger. Resentment stores tension. Guilt signals unworthiness. Inferiority convinces the subconscious that limitation is normal. Each of these must be gently dissolved. Fear dissolves in the presence of understanding. When you recognize that the same intelligence sustaining the universe is sustaining you, fear loses its authority. Resentment dissolves through forgiveness. not as moral obligation, but as release. Forgiveness frees the energy trapped in the past. Guilt dissolves when you accept your worth as a living expression of divine life. Inferiority dissolves when you align with the truth that nothing is missing, nothing is broken, nothing is lacking at the source. As these inner obstacles loosen, the body responds quickly. Tension releases, energy returns, balance begins to reassert itself. The subconscious has been waiting for permission to restore harmony. The healing word you choose becomes your constant companion. It should be simple, present tense, and emotionally resonant. It should feel like truth, not effort. Spoken regularly, especially in moments of quiet, it becomes impressed upon the deeper mind. Over time, it shapes not only the body but your entire experience of life. Light imagery is particularly powerful. Light symbolizes order, life, intelligence. When you imagine light flowing through your body, you are giving the subconscious a clear pattern to follow. See each cell illuminated, functioning in harmony. Feel warmth, ease, and vitality. The subconscious responds eagerly to such images because they carry no resistance. This practice is not about controlling the body. It is about cooperating with it. The body has always known how to heal. Your role is to stop interfering with doubt and to support it with belief. When conscious and subconscious work together, healing becomes natural rather than forced. Joseph Murphy taught that the body is the temple of the living spirit. To speak to it with respect is to honor that truth. Every kind word you speak to your body is a prayer. Every image of health is a blessing. Every moment of trust allows the inner physician to do its work without obstruction. Over time, the language you use internally becomes your dominant reality. Complaints fade because they no longer feel true. Fear loses its grip because it is no longer reinforced. Confidence grows quietly, not as arrogance, but as calm expectation. The body reflects this shift with renewed strength and balance. This is not instant magic. It is law in operation. The same law that has governed growth, healing, and renewal throughout your life continues to operate now. You are simply learning to cooperate with it, consciously rather than unconsciously. As you continue to speak to your body with awareness, you may notice subtle changes first. Better sleep, easier breathing, a sense of lightness. These are signs of alignment. Acknowledge them with gratitude. Gratitude reinforces belief, and belief accelerates manifestation. Do not compare your process to others. Each subconscious responds according to the impressions it has received over time. Be patient. Patience is confidence expressed over time. The inner physician is precise and thorough. It restores according to order, not haste. Remember, the body is always listening. It listens to your thoughts, your words, your images, your emotions. Choose them wisely. Speak life, speak order. Speak with certainty. The lost language of inner healing is not learned through effort, but through remembrance. You were never meant to struggle against your body. You were meant to guide it. When you reclaim this role, healing becomes a partnership rather than a battle. The body responds with loyalty because loyalty is its nature. From this moment forward, let every word you speak inwardly be intentional. Let every image be chosen with care. Let every feeling be aligned with the truth you wish to experience. In doing so, you awaken the ancient intelligence within you, the one that has always known the way back to balance. The conversation has always been happening. Now you choose its direction. Now you speak in the language the body understands. And as you do, the body responds quietly, faithfully, inevitably, returning to the pattern of wholeness that has always been its original design. As this awareness deepens, you begin to notice that healing is not something added to you, but something uncovered. Beneath layers of conditioned fear, habitual tension, and unconscious self-talk, there has always been a steady current of life moving toward balance. The body has never abandoned its purpose. It has only been responding to the strongest signals it received. When those signals change, its response changes naturally. The lost language of inner healing is not spoken once and forgotten. It becomes a way of relating to yourself. You stop treating the body as a problem to be fixed and begin treating it as an ally to be guided. This shift alone alters the entire internal atmosphere. The nervous system relaxes, Resistance softens. The subconscious, relieved of conflict, begins reorganizing with quiet precision. Joseph Murphy often emphasized that the subconscious works best when it is trusted. Doubt is interference. Anxiety is a form of contradictory instruction. When you say words of healing but feel fear underneath, the subconscious receives mixed signals. But when you speak calmly with gentle assurance, even simple words carry authority. Authority does not come from intensity, it comes from conviction. This is why tenderness is essential. Harsh self-talk weakens the message. Criticism creates separation. The subconscious does not respond to punishment, it responds to acceptance. When you say to your body, "I trust you," "I know you are restoring balance," you give it permission to function without obstruction. Trust is a powerful directive. As you practice speaking to your body, you may become aware of old habits resurfacing. Automatic complaints, subtle worries, familiar fears, do not fight them. Simply replace them. Each time you notice an old pattern, gently introduce a new one. The subconscious learns through repetition, not force. Each replacement weakens the old impression and strengthens the new. You are not required to be perfect. You are required to be consistent. Even a few moments of conscious communication each day begin to shift the dominant pattern. Over time, these moments accumulate. The subconscious responds by adjusting internal processes to match the new mental environment. The body thrives on rhythm. Just as the heart beats in cycles and breath flows in waves, healing unfolds in stages. Trust the rhythm. Speak your healing word in the morning as a tone for the day. Speak it in the evening as you release control. Let it become familiar, comforting, authoritative through repetition. The inner physician works silently. It does not announce progress. It simply restores. Often, healing happens first at levels you cannot see. Hormonal balance shifts. Inflammation eases. Cellular repair accelerates. Only later do visible changes appear. This is why patience is essential. The unseen always precedes the seen. When doubts arise, remember this truth. The body has healed itself countless times without your conscious involvement. Every cut that closed, every illness you survived, every imbalance that resolved was evidence of this inner intelligence at work. You are not asking it to do something new. You are asking it to do what it already knows how to do with clearer guidance. The language you now use with your body should reflect respect. Avoid speaking of it as fragile or unreliable. Speak of it as capable, responsive, intelligent. Even if symptoms persist, do not argue with them. Address the deeper pattern instead. Speak to the cause, not the appearance. Words such as harmony, balance, order, life, ease, strength carry neutral authority. They do not provoke resistance. They invite cooperation. When spoken with feeling, they become instructions the subconscious understands immediately. Visualization enhances this communication. See the body functioning smoothly. See tension dissolving. See energy flowing freely. The subconscious responds to images more quickly than to words alone. When words and images align, the message becomes unmistakable. You may also notice changes in your emotional state. As inner conflict dissolves, peace increases. Peace is not passive. It is a signal of alignment. When the mind is at peace, the body follows. Healing accelerates in a peaceful atmosphere. There is no need to convince anyone else. This is an inner practice. Sharing doubt invites doubt. Protect the seed you have planted. Let results speak in time. The subconscious does not require explanation. It requires consistency. As days pass, you may find that your relationship with your body has transformed. Where there was tension, there is cooperation. Where there was fear, there is curiosity. Where there was frustration, there is trust. This relationship shift is itself a form of healing. The lost language of inner healing was never truly lost. It was simply drowned out by noise. By slowing down, by speaking with intention, by listening inwardly, you restore this ancient dialogue. The body recognizes the tone immediately. It has been waiting for it. This practice extends beyond physical healing. The same principles govern emotional and mental well-being. When you speak peace to your mind, it responds with clarity. When you speak confidence to your abilities, they expand. When you speak love to your entire being, life responds in kind. Joseph Murphy reminded us that the subconscious knows no limits except those imposed by belief. When belief expands, possibility expands. The body is included in this law. It responds not to age, diagnosis, or history, but to the dominant mental pattern impressed upon it now. Each moment is an opportunity to impress a new pattern. Each breath is a chance to release the old and welcome the new. Healing is not a single event. It is a continuous alignment with truth. Truth at its core is simple. Life seeks expression, balance, and wholeness. You are an expression of that life. Your body is an instrument of that intelligence. When you speak in harmony with it, healing becomes the natural outcome. Let your words be calm. Let your images be clear. Let your feelings be aligned with trust. In this way, you speak fluently in the lost language of inner healing. And as you do, the body listens, responds, and restores itself according to the perfect pattern that has always existed within you. As this understanding settles into you, something subtle but profound begins to shift. You stop waiting for permission to be well. You stop seeing healing as something that must arrive from outside. Instead, you recognize it as a movement already underway, guided from within. This recognition alone dissolves much of the inner resistance that once delayed change. The body responds quickly to this new atmosphere, because it is an atmosphere of cooperation rather than conflict. The lost language of inner healing is built on relationship. It is not a technique you perform once and abandon. It is a way of living in dialogue with yourself. When discomfort appears, you no longer panic. You listen. You respond with calm authority. You reassure rather than condemn. This response changes everything. The subconscious interprets reassurance as safety, and safety allows healing processes to activate fully. Joseph Murphy often spoke of the subconscious as a faithful servant that never sleeps. Day and night it carries out the impressions it has received. If those impressions are chaotic, it produces disorder. If they are harmonious, it restores order. Your role is not to supervise every detail, but to set the tone. Tone is everything. A single thought charged with fear can outweigh many neutral statements. Likewise, a single thought charged with faith can neutralize countless old fears. This is why emotional sincerity matters more than volume or repetition. You do not need to speak loudly or often. You need to speak truthfully. When your words match your inner feeling, they carry weight. The subconscious recognizes alignment and acts decisively. When words and feelings are divided, the deeper mind follows the feeling every time. As you continue this practice, you may notice that your inner speech becomes gentler without effort. You naturally stop using harsh descriptions. You stop identifying yourself with symptoms. Instead of saying, "I am sick," you say, "My body is restoring balance." This shift is not cosmetic. It is structural. Identity statements shape reality at the deepest level. The body responds most powerfully when it feels included rather than commanded. Speaking to your body as you rather than creates unity. Unity is healing. Separation is strain. When you say, "We are restoring harmony now," you dissolve the illusion of conflict. The subconscious responds to unity with speed and precision. Rest becomes more meaningful as well. Sleep deepens when the last thoughts before rest are peaceful. The subconscious uses sleep to integrate impressions without interference. When you fall asleep in trust, the inner physician works freely. You wake not only refreshed, but subtly reoriented toward health. There may be moments when progress feels slow. Do not interpret this as failure. Growth underground always precedes growth above ground. The subconscious often reorganizes deeply before allowing surface changes. Trust the timing. Impatience is simply belief trying to rush the law. Confidence allows the law to operate fully. You are not required to understand how healing happens. Understanding the law is enough. Just as you do not need to understand electricity to use it, you do not need to understand biology to activate healing. The intelligence within you already understands. Your task is to align with it, not to replace it. When challenges arise, return to simplicity. Breathe. Speak a single phrase of truth. Feel its meaning. Let go. Complexity belongs to the conscious mind. Healing belongs to the subconscious. Simplicity is its language. As days turn into weeks, the new dialogue becomes familiar. What once felt deliberate becomes natural. You begin to notice that you carry yourself differently. Your posture changes. Your breathing deepens. Your expression softens. These are outward signs of inward alignment. The body is responding to a new identity. The lost language of inner healing restores more than health. It restores trust, trust in your body, trust in life, trust in the intelligence that has never failed you. This trust is the foundation of peace, and peace is the environment in which healing thrives. Joseph Murphy taught that when the conscious and subconscious are in agreement, there is no limit to what can be expressed. Agreement does not require perfection. It requires sincerity. Speak what you are willing to believe. Believe what you are willing to feel. Let feeling guide the word, and let the word guide the body. Over time, fear loses its authority because it is no longer reinforced. Old habits fade because they are no longer fed. New patterns strengthen because they are acknowledged. This is how transformation occurs quietly without struggle. Your body has been listening all along. It has recorded every word, every image, every feeling. Now it begins recording something new. Calm, trust, strength, order, life. These impressions accumulate, and the body reflects them faithfully. There is nothing mystical about this. It is practical, lawful, and dependable. It works whether you believe in it fully or partially. The law responds to what is impressed, not to what is argued. Each moment of conscious speech adds to the new pattern. As you continue, remember that healing is not a destination. It is a state of alignment. When alignment is present, health expresses naturally. When alignment is restored, the body follows without resistance. You are learning to speak again in a language you once knew instinctively. A language of trust rather than fear, of guidance rather than control, of cooperation rather than conflict. This is the lost language of inner healing, now remembered. And as you speak it with sincerity, patience, and calm authority, your body responds as it always has, with loyalty, precision, and life, returning steadily to the balance that has always been its true and natural state. As this restored dialogue becomes part of your daily awareness, you begin to sense a quiet confidence replacing old uncertainty. You no longer feel the need to constantly analyze your condition or measure yourself against external standards. The need to label, diagnose, or define every sensation softens. In its place arises a deeper knowing that the body understands its own language far better than the anxious mind ever could. This knowing is not blind faith. It is recognition born of alignment. The lost language of inner healing teaches you to listen as much as you speak. The body communicates through sensation, rhythm, and subtle signals. When you respond with patience instead of fear, clarity replaces confusion. What once felt alarming now feels informative. The body ceases to be a source of threat and becomes a source of guidance. This shift alone removes enormous strain from the system, allowing healing processes to function without interruption. Joseph Murphy often reminded his students that the subconscious is not impressed by effort, but by acceptance. When you accept the idea of health as natural, the subconscious adopts it as a working assumption. From that assumption, countless internal adjustments follow automatically. Blood chemistry balances, muscles release, nerves calm. These changes do not require your supervision. They occur because the deeper mind has been given a clear directive. This acceptance does not mean passivity. It means trust. Trust is active alignment with truth. When you trust the inner physician, you stop issuing contradictory commands. You stop undoing your work with worry. You stop rehearsing symptoms as though they were permanent. Instead, you speak from the assumption that balance is being restored now. The subconscious responds immediately to assumptions because assumptions define reality at its level. You may notice that as trust increases, effort decreases. Healing no longer feels like a task to manage, it feels like a process unfolding. This ease is not accidental. It is a sign that resistance has diminished. Resistance is what delays manifestation. Ease allows it to proceed unhindered. The body responds most powerfully when it feels supported rather than scrutinized. Constant monitoring implies doubt. Doubt signals danger. When danger is sensed, the body tightens and conserves. When safety is felt, the body repairs and renews. Your inner language determines which state dominates. As you continue speaking to your body with kindness and clarity, You may find that your intuition sharpens. You become more attuned to what the body needs in each moment. Rest when rest is needed, movement when movement is needed, nourishment when nourishment is needed. These signals arise naturally when the internal dialogue is clear. Healing is supported not only by words, but by responsiveness. The lost language of inner healing also restores a sense of unity. You no longer experience yourself as divided into mind and body, controller and controlled. Instead, you experience yourself as a single system moving toward harmony. This unity dissolves inner conflict, and where conflict dissolves, energy returns. Joseph Murphy taught that the subconscious expresses what it believes to be true. When truth is aligned with life, life flourishes. When truth is distorted by fear, life contracts. You are now choosing truth consciously, not as an abstract concept, but as a living experience felt in the body. Every time you speak peace inwardly, the nervous system responds. Every time you imagine harmony, the cells receive instruction. Every time you choose patience over panic, you reinforce the pattern of healing. These moments accumulate quietly, but their effect is profound. You may still encounter days of doubt. This is natural. Doubt is not failure. It is simply an old habit surfacing. When it appears, do not engage it. Replace it gently. Speak again in the language you are learning. The subconscious does not hold grudges. It responds to the dominant pattern over time. As this practice matures, you may notice that your external circumstances begin to reflect the same harmony you are cultivating within. Relationships improve. Stressors lose their intensity. Life feels less hostile and more cooperative. This is not coincidence. The same subconscious that governs the body also influences experience. Harmony expressed inwardly tends to express outwardly. The lost language of inner healing reconnects you to a deeper rhythm of life. A rhythm that is patient, intelligent, and purposeful. When you align with this rhythm, you stop forcing outcomes. You allow them to unfold. Allowing is not surrender to illness. It is surrender of resistance. Healing often arrives quietly. One day you realize that something which once dominated your attention has faded into the background. Relief arrives not as a dramatic event, but as a gentle return to normalcy. This is the natural way of restoration. The body prefers subtlety. It prefers order over spectacle. As you continue speaking life to your body, remember that every word carries direction. Choose words that point toward wholeness. Choose images that reflect balance. Choose feelings that support trust. In doing so, you maintain alignment with the inner law that governs healing. The conversation you are now having with your body is one of remembrance. You are not learning something foreign. You are recalling a wisdom that has always been present. A wisdom that knows how to restore, renew, and sustain life without strain. This is the power of speaking to your body with awareness. It is not persuasion. It is cooperation. It is not control. It is guidance. And as you continue to speak in this restored language, the body responds as it always has, quietly, faithfully, and intelligently, moving steadily back into the natural state of balance and vitality that has always been its true design. With time, this way of speaking becomes less of a practice and more of a presence. You no longer need to remind yourself constantly. The tone has been set. The subconscious has accepted the new pattern as familiar, and familiarity is powerful. What the subconscious accepts as normal, it sustains effortlessly. Healing then ceases to feel like something you are doing and becomes something that is simply happening. You begin to realize that much of what once felt like struggle was not caused by the body at all, but by the tension of resistance within the mind. When resistance fades, the body no longer needs to signal distress so loudly. Symptoms often soften because their message has been heard. The body, having been acknowledged and respected, relaxes into cooperation. The lost language of inner healing restores dignity to the body. Instead of viewing it as a burden to manage, you begin to see it as an expression of intelligence worthy of care and attention. This dignity changes how you move, how you rest, how you nourish yourself. These changes are not imposed by discipline. They arise naturally from respect. Joseph Murphy often pointed out that the subconscious responds to the sense of authority behind an idea. Authority does not mean dominance. It means certainty. When you speak to your body with quiet certainty, you signal that the message is settled. The subconscious then proceeds without hesitation. Certainty is far more powerful than effort. As this certainty grows, you may notice that you no longer rehearse worst-case scenarios. The mind naturally turns toward constructive expectation. Expectation shapes perception, and perception shapes experience. The body responds accordingly, adjusting itself to match the dominant expectation of health and balance. This does not mean challenges never arise. It means they are met differently. Instead of panic, there is presence. Instead of fear, there is response. You meet sensations with curiosity rather than alarm. This response prevents the escalation that once amplified discomfort. Calm short-circuits the old cycle. The body responds quickly to calm because calm signals safety. Safety is the prerequisite for repair. When the nervous system feels safe, resources shift from defense to restoration. Speaking to your body with reassurance activates this shift repeatedly, reinforcing the healing state. Over time, you may notice that your sense of identity changes. You no longer define yourself by conditions, diagnoses, or limitations. You identify instead with capability, resilience, and intelligence. Identity is a powerful command to the subconscious. What you identify with, the body expresses. The lost language of inner healing also teaches humility. You recognize that healing is not a personal achievement, but a cooperation with a greater intelligence. This humility removes pressure. Without pressure, the system functions more efficiently. Life flows where pressure dissolves. You may begin to feel moments of quiet gratitude without effort. Gratitude arises naturally when alignment is present. It is not forced positivity, it is recognition of order returning. Gratitude reinforces the pattern because it communicates completion rather than lack. Joseph Murphy taught that gratitude is the emotional signature of faith. Faith is not belief in something unseen. It is trust in a law already working. When gratitude becomes part of your inner dialogue, you tell the subconscious that its work is effective. The subconscious responds by continuing that work. As the weeks pass, you may notice that even when challenges appear, they no longer define your inner state. Your center remains steady. This steadiness is not indifference. It is confidence rooted in experience. Experience teaches the subconscious more effectively than theory. The language you now speak inwardly has become clear, simple, and direct. You no longer over-explain or over-analyze. You speak what is needed and let it go. This simplicity is a sign of mastery. The subconscious prefers clarity to complexity. Eventually, you may forget that there was ever a time when you felt at war with your body. The memory fades because it is no longer reinforced. The new relationship replaces the old one. The body responds by maintaining balance more easily because balance has become the dominant pattern. The lost language of inner healing restores trust, not only in your body, but in life itself. When you see how faithfully the inner law responds, you stop feeling abandoned or powerless. You recognize that intelligence has always been present, waiting for direction. This recognition changes how you face the future. Instead of anticipating decline, you anticipate adaptation. Instead of fearing change, you trust adjustment. The body mirrors this outlook, remaining flexible and responsive rather than rigid and defensive. Healing, then, is revealed not as a single outcome, but as an ongoing relationship with life. A relationship built on listening, speaking, trusting, and allowing. When this relationship is restored, health becomes the natural expression. And so the conversation continues quietly, faithfully, beneath awareness. You speak with intention. The body listens with intelligence. Together, they move toward harmony, not through force or fear, but through understanding. This is the living reality of the lost language of inner healing, now remembered, now practiced, now embodied. As this embodied understanding settles more deeply, you begin to sense that healing is not something that interrupts life, but something that integrates with it. You no longer set aside special moments to feel whole. Wholeness begins to inform ordinary moments. Walking, breathing, resting, speaking, all carry a subtle ease that was once absent. This ease is not dramatic, but it is unmistakable. It is the sign of alignment becoming stable. The lost language of inner healing teaches you that the body does not demand perfection. It responds to direction, not flawlessness. Even imperfect words, when spoken with sincerity, carry more power than polished phrases spoken with doubt. The subconscious is not impressed by eloquence, it is impressed by honesty. When you speak from the heart, the message lands where it matters. Joseph Murphy reminded us that the subconscious is always acting on the strongest impression. This means that even brief moments of genuine conviction can outweigh long periods of unconscious negativity. A single clear inner decree spoken with feeling can begin to dissolve patterns that have existed for years. This is why awakening to this language often feels sudden, even if the physical changes unfold gradually. As you grow accustomed to this inner dialogue, you may notice a growing sense of companionship with your body. Instead of feeling alone in your experience, you feel accompanied. This sense of partnership reduces emotional isolation, which itself is a major source of tension and strain. When the body feels accompanied, it relaxes. When it relaxes, it repairs. You also begin to recognize the difference between listening and worrying. Listening is quiet and receptive. Worry is noisy and repetitive. The body responds positively to listening because listening implies trust. Worry implies danger. By choosing listening, you create a space in which the body can communicate clearly and respond effectively. The lost language of inner healing restores timing. You stop rushing outcomes. You respect cycles of rest and renewal. You recognize that healing unfolds in layers, each supporting the next. This respect for timing aligns you with natural law, and natural law always supports life. Joseph Murphy taught that the subconscious never contradicts itself. It expresses what it has accepted as true. When you consistently speak truth aligned with health, the subconscious reorganizes its expression accordingly. This reorganization may appear gradual, but it is precise. Nothing is wasted, nothing is random. As you continue, you may find that your tolerance for internal negativity diminishes. Complaints feel uncomfortable. Harsh self-judgment feels foreign. This is not suppression, it is alignment. When the inner environment changes, certain thoughts no longer feel compatible. They fade naturally because they no longer serve the dominant pattern. The body responds to this shift with greater resilience. Small stressors no longer trigger exaggerated reactions. Recovery becomes quicker. Energy stabilizes. These changes are not the result of force, but of coherence. Coherence between thought, feeling, and biological response creates strength. The lost language of inner healing also refines your awareness of emotion. You become more skilled at distinguishing between emotional signals that require attention and those that simply pass through. This discernment prevents emotional buildup, which often manifests physically when ignored. Expression replaces suppression, and the body responds with relief. You may begin to experience moments of stillness that feel nourishing rather than empty. Stillness allows the subconscious to integrate new patterns without interference. In stillness, the inner physician works most efficiently. This is why quiet moments often feel restorative even without sleep. As your relationship with your body stabilizes, trust extends outward. You trust processes, you trust transitions, you trust your capacity to adapt. This trust reduces anticipatory stress, which is one of the greatest drains on the system. With less anticipation of threat, the body remains oriented toward repair. The language you now speak inwardly is subtle, but it is constant. It flows beneath conscious thought, shaping experience moment by moment. You no longer need to monitor it closely. The habit has been established. The subconscious now carries the pattern forward on its own. Eventually, you realize that what you once called healing was actually remembering. Remembering how to cooperate with life. Remembering how to listen without fear. Remembering how to speak with authority born of trust rather than control. The lost language of inner healing is not bound to time. It does not diminish with age. It does not weaken with circumstance. It responds only to alignment. As long as alignment is present, the law operates fully. And so the conversation continues in the background of your life, quiet and steady. Thought speaks, feeling confirms. The body responds. This cycle, once unconscious, is now guided with awareness. In this guidance, balance is restored again and again. You are no longer searching for healing as something distant. You are participating in it as something present. Each word you speak inwardly reinforces this participation. Each moment of trust deepens it. This is not an ending, it is a return. A return to the natural dialogue between mind and body, between intention and expression, between life and its form. The lost language of inner healing has been remembered, and through it, the body responds as it always has, with intelligence, loyalty, and life. As this return settles into your daily experience, you may notice that even your relationship with time begins to change. Urgency fades. The pressure to fix everything immediately dissolves. In its place arises a steady patience, not born of resignation but of confidence. Confidence that the process unfolding within you is intelligent, purposeful, and sufficient. The body senses this confidence and responds by releasing its grip on tension that once came from feeling rushed or threatened. The lost language of inner healing reveals that the body has never needed to be pushed. It needed to be trusted. Pushing implies doubt. Trust implies certainty. When you trust the body's wisdom, you remove the strain that interferes with its natural rhythms. Healing aligns itself with those rhythms effortlessly. Joseph Murphy often emphasized that life does not operate through struggle, but through flow. Where struggle is present, belief is divided. Where flow is present, belief is unified. When your words, images, and feelings move in the same direction, the subconscious receives a single clear instruction. From that instruction, harmony follows. You may begin to observe that your thoughts naturally slow down. The inner commentary softens. Silence becomes more comfortable. This is not emptiness. It is space. In that space, the subconscious integrates the new patterns without interruption. Silence is not the absence of activity. It is the environment in which deeper activity occurs. As the body continues to respond, you may feel moments of gratitude arising unexpectedly. Gratitude for breath, gratitude for movement, gratitude for the quiet reliability of your own system. These moments are not sentimental. They are recognition. Recognition strengthens the pattern because it affirms reality as it is becoming. The lost language of inner healing also restores a sense of belonging within your own form. You no longer feel like a visitor in your body. You feel at home. This sense of home reduces stress at the deepest level. When the body feels like a safe place to live, it functions optimally. Joseph Murphy taught that the subconscious does not differentiate between inner and outer experience. When inner experience becomes peaceful, outer experience often follows. This is not coincidence, it is correspondence. As harmony becomes your dominant inner state, the body reflects that harmony naturally. You may find that situations which once triggered physical reactions now pass through with less impact. The body no longer needs to sound alarms because the inner environment no longer signals danger. Calm becomes the default setting rather than the exception. The language you now speak inwardly has become self-sustaining. You do not need to correct every thought. The dominant tone carries the system forward. Occasional discord does not derail progress because the foundation is stable. Stability is what the subconscious responds to most powerfully. Over time, the memory of constant struggle fades. You may even forget how much effort you once spent worrying, monitoring, resisting. This forgetting is a sign of integration. The new pattern has replaced the old one without conflict. The lost language of inner healing ultimately teaches you that health is not something to chase, but something to allow. Allowing does not mean ignoring. It means trusting the process enough to stop interfering with it. When interference ends, the inner physician works without obstruction. As this understanding deepens, you may feel a quiet reverence for the intelligence that has been sustaining you all along. Reverence is not worship, it is respect. Respect for life's capacity to restore itself when given the right conditions. Those conditions are created through thought, word, and feeling aligned with truth. You now recognize that every moment is an opportunity to reinforce harmony. Every breath can be a reminder of support. Every word can be a signal of trust. Every image can be a blueprint of wholeness. Nothing is wasted when spoken with awareness. The conversation you are having with your body has become clear, consistent, and kind. Kindness is not weakness, it is precision. The subconscious responds with accuracy to kindness because kindness carries no contradiction. It communicates safety, acceptance, and cooperation all at once, and so without effort, without strain, the body continues its quiet work. Cells renew, systems balance, energy circulates. Life expresses itself according to its original design. You do not need to witness every change to know it is happening. Knowing has replaced watching. This is the natural state restored. Not perfection but harmony, not control but cooperation. Not struggle but alignment. The lost language of inner healing has become your native tongue once again, spoken effortlessly, lived daily, and reflected faithfully in the steady intelligence of your body. As this harmony stabilizes, you may begin to notice something quietly remarkable. Your body no longer feels like a project. It no longer occupies the center of your attention in the way it once did. This absence of fixation is not neglect, it is trust made visible. When the subconscious is confident in its direction, it does not demand constant supervision. It works steadily in the background, restoring balance while your conscious mind is free to engage with life. The lost language of inner healing reveals that true restoration often announces itself through normalcy. One day you realize that ease has returned to places where strain once lived. Movement feels natural again. Breath feels unforced. Sleep arrives without negotiation. These moments do not arrive with fanfare, but they carry quiet authority. They tell you that alignment has taken root. Joseph Murphy taught that the subconscious loves routine built on belief. When your inner dialogue becomes consistently supportive, the subconscious adopts it as its operating standard. From that standard, it maintains order automatically. Health becomes less of an event and more of a condition. You may find that even when challenges appear, your response remains different. Instead of identifying with discomfort, you observe it with calm curiosity. Observation without fear prevents escalation. The body senses this neutrality and adjusts without resistance. In this way, minor imbalances resolve before they have time to deepen. The language you now speak inwardly has refined your sensitivity without making you fragile. You are more aware, yet less reactive. This balance is essential. Excessive vigilance strains the system. Balanced awareness supports it. The subconscious thrives when awareness is calm and steady. The lost language of inner healing also reconnects you with the pleasure of embodiment. Sensations become richer. Presence deepens. You begin to enjoy simple experiences again because the body is no longer dominated by defense. Pleasure itself is restorative. When the body experiences pleasure without guilt or fear, it reinforces the pattern of safety. Joseph Murphy often emphasized that joy is a powerful healer because it signals life flowing freely. Joy does not need a reason. It arises naturally when resistance dissolves. Even brief moments of joy send a clear message to the subconscious conditions are favorable. The body responds accordingly. As you continue living in this restored dialogue, you may notice that your compassion for others deepens as well. Understanding how deeply words and beliefs affect the body, you become gentler in your speech, both inwardly and outwardly. This gentleness reinforces your own healing because the subconscious does not distinguish between how you speak to yourself and how you speak about life in general. The lost language of inner healing simplifies life. You no longer search endlessly for answers. You trust the process unfolding within. When new information arrives, you evaluate it calmly rather than desperately. Desperation weakens authority. Calm discernment strengthens it. Over time, your confidence becomes quiet and unshakable. It is not based on constant evidence, but on lived experience. You have seen how the body responds when spoken to with clarity and respect. That experience becomes your foundation. You may still use medical care, guidance, and external support when appropriate. This practice does not reject wisdom, it integrates it. When the inner environment is aligned, external support works more effectively because the subconscious is receptive rather than resistant. Healing becomes a partnership across levels rather than a struggle between them. The lost language of inner healing ultimately teaches you self-respect. Respect for your own capacity to influence your well-being. Respect for the intelligence operating within you. Respect for the time it takes for true change to stabilize. This respect removes the pressure that once interfered with healing. As days turn into months, you may notice that the memory of suffering loses its emotional charge. You can recall it without reliving it. This emotional neutrality is a sign that the subconscious has released the old pattern. What is released no longer needs to be expressed. The conversation you now carry with your body is steady, quiet, and trustworthy. It does not fluctuate wildly with circumstance. It adapts. Adaptation is life's signature. When adaptation is supported, vitality follows. And so the process continues, not as something you must manage, but as something you live within. Thought aligns with feeling. Feeling aligns with truth. Truth aligns with life. In this alignment, the body fulfills its role naturally. You are no longer searching for the language of healing. You are speaking it. You are living it. And as you do, the body responds, day by day, moment by moment, returning again and again to its natural state of balance, intelligence, and quiet strength, guided by the same inner wisdom that has always known the way. As this quiet strength becomes familiar, you may notice that your trust in yourself deepens in ways that go beyond the body. When you witness how faithfully your inner world responds to gentle authority, you begin to trust your capacity to navigate life itself. The same intelligence restoring balance within you is present in every decision, every transition, every moment of uncertainty. This realization brings a deep sense of steadiness that cannot be shaken by external conditions. The lost language of inner healing shows you that the body is not separate from your experience of life. When harmony is restored within, life feels less hostile and more cooperative. Challenges still appear, but they no longer feel personal or overwhelming. They are met with the same calm attention you now offer your body. This consistency of response preserves energy and prevents unnecessary strain. Joseph Murphy taught that the subconscious responds to the dominant tone of the mind. When that tone is calm, confident, and expectant of good, the subconscious arranges circumstances accordingly. This is not limited to physical health. It extends to emotional balance, clarity of thought, and the overall sense of well-being. Healing becomes holistic because the law governing it is universal. As your inner dialogue remains aligned, you may find that you are less tempted to revisit old stories. The narratives that once defined you lose relevance. You no longer need to explain yourself to the past. The present carries more authority. The body reflects this by releasing old tension patterns that were held in place by memory rather than necessity. The lost language of inner healing teaches you to live from the inside out. Instead of reacting to appearances, you respond from understanding. Instead of bracing against life, you allow it to move through you. This openness supports circulation, breath, and ease at every level of the body. There may be moments when you catch yourself smiling for no particular reason. These moments are not accidental. They are expressions of alignment. The body recognizes harmony and responds with lightness. Lightness is a sign that excess effort has been released. Joseph Murphy often emphasized that the subconscious delights in harmony. When harmony is impressed upon it, it works tirelessly to maintain it. This maintenance is subtle and ongoing. You may not notice it moment by moment, but you live within its effects continuously. As you continue to speak to your body in this restored language, you become more discerning about what you allow into your awareness. You are not rigid or withdrawn, but you are selective. You protect your inner environment because you understand its influence. This protection is not fear-based. It is respect-based. The lost language of inner healing also reconnects you with wonder. When you witness how thought and feeling shape experience, life regains a sense of mystery without becoming confusing. You feel supported by a law that is both precise and benevolent. This feeling reduces existential tension and allows the body to remain at ease. Over time, you may notice that your energy is no longer spent managing symptoms or anticipating problems. That energy becomes available for creativity, connection, and presence. The body benefits from this redistribution because creativity and presence are inherently restorative states. The conversation you now maintain with your body is fluid. It adapts to changing circumstances without losing its core tone of trust. Whether in rest or activity, challenge or ease, the dialogue remains supportive. This consistency is what allows balance to sustain itself. Joseph Murphy taught that when the mind rests in truth, the body follows without resistance. Truth, in this sense, is not an abstract idea. It is the lived recognition that life within you is intelligent, responsive, and oriented toward wholeness. When you align with this truth, healing becomes the natural consequence. You may still encounter moments of uncertainty. When they arise, you no longer struggle to eliminate them. You acknowledge them, speak calmly to your body, and allow them to pass. This response prevents the accumulation of stress and preserves equilibrium. The lost language of inner healing ultimately restores a sense of continuity. You no longer feel fragmented across different states of being. Thought, emotion, and body move together. This unity conserves energy and supports resilience, and so without ceremony, without force, without strain, the body continues to respond to the language you now speak fluently. Each word carries clarity. Each feeling carries direction. Each moment reinforces alignment. This is not a conclusion. It is a way of living, a living dialogue between awareness and intelligence, between intention and expression. As long as you continue to speak with trust and listen with patience, the body remains a willing partner, responding faithfully, restoring balance, and expressing the quiet, enduring vitality that has always been its true nature. As this way of living settles into you, you may notice that even silence begins to feel communicative. There are moments when no words are needed, yet understanding is complete. The body responds not only to spoken affirmations, but to the atmosphere you carry within. When that atmosphere is calm, receptive, and trusting, healing continues without instruction. Silence itself becomes a language the body understands. The lost language of inner healing reveals that much of life's intelligence operates beneath effort. You do not command your heart to beat or your lungs to breathe. These functions unfold naturally when interference is removed. In the same way, restoration unfolds when fear, pressure, and doubt no longer dominate the inner environment. What remains is a quiet order that knows exactly what to do. Joseph Murphy often reminded us that the subconscious works with precision and patience. It does not rush, but it does not forget. Once an idea of harmony has been impressed deeply enough, it continues expressing that idea consistently. This is why sustained inner peace is more powerful than intense but brief enthusiasm. The subconscious values stability above all. As your inner dialogue remains aligned, you may find that your body becomes more forgiving. Small disruptions no longer cascade into larger imbalances. Recovery happens more quickly because the system no longer holds tension in anticipation of harm. This resilience is a direct reflection of the trust you have cultivated. The lost language of inner healing also restores proportion. Sensations are felt, but they are no longer magnified by fear. Thoughts arise, but they are no longer fueled by panic. Emotions move through, but they do not linger as burdens. This proportionality keeps the system balanced and responsive rather than overwhelmed. You may notice that your breath has changed without conscious effort. It deepens naturally. It slows when needed. Breath is one of the body's most honest indicators of safety. When breath flows freely, it signals that the nervous system has relaxed its guard. Healing thrives in this state. Joseph Murphy taught that the subconscious responds to what feels normal. When peace becomes normal, the body organizes itself around peace. When ease becomes familiar, tension loses its foothold. Normalization is one of the most powerful forces in healing because it sustains change without effort. As you continue living in this restored dialogue, you may experience a growing sense of inner authority. Not authority over the body, but authority with it. This authority is calm, grounded, and unforced. It comes from experience, not from theory. The body recognizes it immediately and responds with cooperation. The lost language of inner healing teaches you that the most effective guidance is often the gentlest. Harsh commands create resistance. Gentle certainty creates alignment. When you speak to your body with assurance rather than urgency, you allow it to respond fully. Over time, you may realize that the very idea of healing begins to fade from focus. What remains is living, engaging, participating. The body no longer dominates attention because it no longer needs to signal distress. It has been heard. It has been guided. It is functioning in harmony. This does not mean life becomes free of challenge. It means challenges are met from a different center. A center rooted in trust rather than fear. That center preserves balance even in motion. The conversation you now carry within yourself has become steady and kind. It does not fluctuate wildly with circumstance. It adapts, adjusts, and continues. This consistency is what allows health to stabilize and endure. Joseph Murphy taught that when the mind rests in harmony, the body follows naturally. Harmony is not perfection. It is coherence. It is the absence of internal contradiction. When your thoughts, feelings, and expectations move in the same direction, the body expresses that direction faithfully. As days continue to unfold, you may find yourself less preoccupied with outcomes and more present with experience. Presence itself is healing. When you are present, the body feels supported. When the body feels supported, it repairs, renews, and strengthens. The lost language of inner healing is not something you need to remember consciously each day. It has become part of how you relate to yourself. It is woven into your awareness, your speech, your silence. It guides without effort. And so the dialogue continues, quietly shaping your experience from within. Thought offers direction, feeling confirms belief. The body responds with intelligence and care. This is the natural cycle restored. You are no longer struggling to be well. You are allowing wellness to express itself. You are no longer trying to fix the body. You are cooperating with its wisdom. In this cooperation, life flows as it was always meant to, steadily, intelligently, and with quiet strength. This is the lost language remembered, not as theory, not as effort, but as lived understanding. And as long as you continue to speak with trust and listen with patience, the body remains a faithful partner, responding in its own time, in its own way, always moving toward balance, vitality, and life. As this lived understanding deepens, you may sense that even your expectations about the future begin to soften. You no longer project fear forward or imagine decline as inevitable. Instead, there is a quiet openness, a sense that whatever unfolds can be met from a place of balance. This openness itself reduces strain on the body, because anticipation of threat is one of the greatest sources of chronic tension. When anticipation relaxes, the body breathes more freely into the present. The lost language of inner healing teaches that the body is always responding to what you expect next. Expectation shapes posture, breath, muscle tone, and internal chemistry. When expectation is heavy, the body braces. When expectation is light, the body opens. By choosing words and images that carry confidence rather than apprehension, you shape expectation in a way that supports restoration. Joseph Murphy often spoke of the subconscious as creative, not reactive. It does not merely respond to problems, it expresses the ideas impressed upon it. When health becomes the dominant idea, the subconscious expresses health creatively, finding pathways and adjustments you could never consciously design. This creativity is one of the greatest gifts of the inner physician. As you continue in this dialogue, you may notice that your body begins to surprise you. Strength appears where you expected weakness. Ease replaces effort in places that once required concentration. These surprises are not accidents. They are signs that the subconscious is no longer constrained by old limitations. It is expressing from a new template. The lost language of inner healing also restores humility in the best sense. You recognize that healing is not something you personally manufacture. It is something you allow. This recognition removes pressure and self-blame. Without pressure, the system functions more efficiently. Without blame, resistance dissolves. You may find that your inner world becomes quieter overall. Thoughts still arise, but they no longer dominate. Emotions still move, but they no longer overwhelm. This quiet does not mean numbness. It means balance. Balance allows the body to allocate energy toward renewal rather than defense. Joseph Murphy taught that peace is not the absence of activity, but the presence of order. When order is restored within, activity becomes fluid rather than draining. The body responds to this order by maintaining equilibrium even during exertion. As the weeks and months pass, You may look back and realize that the change was not a single turning point, but a series of small shifts that accumulated. Each kind word spoken inwardly, each moment of trust chosen over fear, each image of harmony held gently. Together, these formed a new foundation. The lost language of inner healing works precisely because it respects the intelligence of the body. It does not attempt to override it. It aligns with it. Alignment is always more powerful than force. Where force exhausts, alignment restores. You may notice that your sense of self becomes less rigid. You are no longer defined by past experiences or future concerns. You feel more fluid, more adaptable. Adaptability is one of the strongest indicators of health at every level. The body mirrors this adaptability in its resilience. The conversation you now maintain within yourself feels natural. There is no strain in sustaining it. It has become the default mode of relating. When challenges arise, you return to it instinctively, not because you must, but because it works. Joseph Murphy reminded us that the subconscious is always listening, always responding. Now that you are speaking clearly, it responds clearly. There is no confusion in the message. There is no contradiction in the tone. The body receives a single instruction: restore harmony. As this harmony expresses itself, you may find that your appreciation for life deepens. Small moments feel sufficient. Presence feels rich. This appreciation is not dependent on conditions. It arises from alignment. Appreciation itself reinforces the healing pattern because it signals fulfillment rather than lack. The lost language of inner healing ultimately brings you back to simplicity: breath, word, image, feeling, trust. These elements aligned create an environment in which life thrives. You do not need more than this. You never did. And so, quietly and steadily, the dialogue continues beneath the surface of awareness. You speak with intention. You listen with patience. The body responds with intelligence. This cycle sustains itself without effort. There is nothing you need to force, nothing you need to chase, nothing you need to fear. The intelligence that has always sustained you continues its work, now supported rather than hindered by your conscious participation. This is the living reality of speaking to your body and allowing it to heal, not as a dramatic event, but as a steady return to order, not as a struggle, but as a remembering. And as long as this language remains alive within you, the body responds as it always has, faithfully, intelligently, and in perfect accordance with the life that moves through it. As this remembering matures, you may sense that effort itself has transformed. What once required discipline now flows with ease. You no longer remind yourself to speak kindly inwardly. Kindness has become the natural tone. The subconscious recognizes this tone as stable and builds upon it, reinforcing patterns of balance without needing further instruction. The lost language of inner healing teaches that consistency is quieter than intensity, yet far more powerful. A steady inner atmosphere shapes the body more deeply than occasional moments of enthusiasm. When calm confidence becomes the baseline, the body organizes itself around that baseline effortlessly, conserving energy and directing it toward renewal. Joseph Murphy often emphasized that the subconscious responds to feeling as fact. When ease feels familiar, the body treats ease as reality. When wholeness feels expected, the body aligns with that expectation. This is not imagination overriding biology, it is imagination informing biology, guiding it toward coherence. As you live in this alignment, you may notice that your body's signals become clearer and less dramatic. There is less need for alarm when communication is open. Subtle cues replace urgent messages. This clarity allows you to respond early, gently, and effectively, supporting balance before strain accumulates. The lost language of inner healing restores trust not only in outcomes, but in process. You no longer need to know the exact path by which harmony returns. Trust replaces the need for control. Control tightens. Trust opens. The body responds to openness with adaptability and strength. You may find that your sense of safety has deepened. Safety is not the absence of challenge. It is the presence of support. When the body feels supported internally, it meets external demands with resilience rather than rigidity. Muscles soften. Breath steadies. The nervous system shifts toward repair. Joseph Murphy taught that the inner physician works best when undisturbed. When you refrain from constant checking and doubting, you allow this intelligence to function freely. Freedom is essential for coordination. Coordination restores order. As the months unfold, you may notice that your relationship with discomfort has changed. Discomfort no longer defines the moment. It is information, not identity. This distinction prevents escalation. The body adjusts without being overwhelmed by meaning imposed by fear. The lost language of inner healing also refines your sense of timing. You act when action is needed and rest when rest is required. This discernment arises naturally when the inner dialogue is clear. The body thrives when its rhythms are honored rather than overridden. You may experience a renewed appreciation for rest. Rest is no longer seen as weakness or delay. It is recognized as integration. During rest, the subconscious consolidates gains, repairs tissue, and stabilizes systems. Speaking peace before rest magnifies this effect. Joseph Murphy reminded us that the subconscious accepts what is repeated with feeling. Repetition does not need to be frequent if it is sincere. A few moments of deep alignment can reshape patterns that once seemed fixed. Sincerity is the key that opens the deeper mind. As this practice becomes woven into your life, you may notice that your self-talk in other areas has softened as well. You become less critical, more encouraging. This change benefits the body because the subconscious does not compartmentalize. A kinder inner world produces a kinder biological response. The lost language of inner healing ultimately reconnects you with simplicity. You stop chasing complex explanations. You rely on alignment. Alignment does not require effort, it requires honesty. When your inner words reflect your deeper knowing, the body responds with precision. Over time, you may realize that the fear of losing health has faded. Fear fades when trust takes its place. Trust does not guarantee outcomes, it guarantees stability in the process. Stability supports resilience. Resilience supports vitality. The conversation you now carry within yourself has become reliable. It does not fluctuate wildly with circumstance. It adjusts gently, maintaining balance through change. This reliability is what allows the body to sustain health over time. Joseph Murphy taught that the law never fails, only our use of it varies. As your use becomes consistent, results become predictable. Predictability in this sense is not limitation, it is dependability. The body depends on the clarity you provide. As days continue to pass, you may find that gratitude arises more often than concern. Gratitude signals to the subconscious that the environment is favorable. Favorable environments promote growth. Growth restores life. The lost language of inner healing is now active not as an exercise, but as a way of being. You speak with awareness. You listen with patience. You trust without strain. In this state, the body expresses its natural intelligence freely. There is nothing more to add, nothing more to force. The dialogue sustains itself. Thought aligns with feeling aligns with life aligns with order. And in this alignment, the body continues its quiet work, restoring, maintaining, and expressing balance according to the wisdom that has always lived within you. As this alignment becomes your natural state, you may notice that the need to prove anything fades away. You no longer look for constant confirmation that healing is happening. The quiet certainty within you feels sufficient. This certainty is not blind optimism. It is grounded awareness, born from repeated experience of cooperation between thought, feeling, and the body's response. The lost language of inner healing teaches you that confidence does not shout, it settles. When confidence settles into the subconscious, the body stabilizes around it. Systems regulate themselves. Energy distributes evenly. The constant background tension that once accompanied uncertainty dissolves, replaced by a sense of internal order. Joseph Murphy often emphasized that the subconscious accepts what feels natural. When ease becomes natural, the body treats ease as its baseline. When balance feels expected rather than hoped for, the body aligns with that expectation. Expectation is a powerful directive, and when it is calm and assured, it guides biological processes without resistance. You may find that your reactions to the world soften. Situations that once felt overwhelming no longer carry the same weight. The body no longer braces unnecessarily because the inner environment no longer signals danger. This reduction in bracing frees enormous energy for repair, renewal, and vitality. The lost language of inner healing also restores your sense of continuity. You no longer feel as though you are starting over each day. Progress feels cumulative rather than fragile. Each moment of alignment builds upon the last, creating momentum that carries forward even when attention is elsewhere. As this momentum grows, you may notice that your inner dialogue becomes increasingly simple. You no longer need elaborate affirmations or complex imagery. A single word, spoken with feeling, is enough. Peace, order, life. These words carry meaning because they are supported by experience. Joseph Murphy taught that simplicity is the hallmark of truth. The subconscious responds most efficiently to clear, uncomplicated ideas. When the message is simple and consistent, the response is swift and stable. You may also notice that compassion for yourself deepens naturally. Where there was once impatience, there is understanding. Where there was frustration, there is patience. This compassion reduces internal conflict, and where conflict dissolves, healing accelerates. The lost language of inner healing teaches you that self-kindness is not indulgence. It is accuracy. The body responds accurately to the tone it receives. Kindness communicates safety. Safety allows repair. Repair restores balance. As your relationship with your body continues to stabilize, you may feel a renewed sense of trust in the unfolding of life itself. You no longer feel isolated within your experience. You feel supported by an intelligence larger than personal effort, yet intimately connected to your awareness. Joseph Murphy reminded us that the same power that sustains the universe sustains you. When you align your thoughts with this truth, you stop feeling alone in the process of healing. This sense of support removes one of the deepest sources of tension, the belief that you must manage everything by yourself. Over time, you may find that your body responds more quickly to rest, nourishment, and movement. Recovery becomes efficient. Resilience strengthens. These changes are not forced. They arise because the system is no longer working against itself. The lost language of inner healing does not promise a life without challenge. It offers a way to meet challenge without fragmentation. When the inner dialogue remains coherent, the body remains resilient. Resilience is the true marker of health. As you continue living in this dialogue, you may realize that healing is not something that ends, it is something that sustains. Each day, alignment renews itself. Each moment, balance is maintained. This maintenance requires no effort once the pattern is established. The conversation you now carry within yourself is steady, respectful, and clear. It does not fluctuate with fear or urgency. It adapts with intelligence. This adaptability is life expressing itself freely through you. Joseph Murphy taught that when the mind rests in harmony, the body follows inevitably. Harmony is not static, it is dynamic balance. When your inner words reflect this balance, the body mirrors it faithfully. And so, without drama and without strain, the process continues. Thought offers direction, feeling confirms belief, the subconscious executes with precision, the body responds with loyalty. This cycle sustains itself naturally. You are no longer searching for healing as something distant or uncertain. You are living within it as a daily reality. Each word you speak inwardly reinforces this reality. Each moment of trust deepens it. This is the lost language of inner healing, not learned from outside but remembered from within. Spoken gently, lived quietly, expressed faithfully through the intelligence of your body. And as long as this language remains alive in your awareness, the body continues to respond, restoring balance, sustaining vitality, and expressing life in its natural, enduring harmony. And now the dialogue rests where it belongs, not as effort, but as understanding. You are no longer trying to make your body heal. You are allowing it to do what it has always known how to do. The struggle has softened into trust. The urgency has dissolved into patience. What remains is a quiet partnership between awareness and life. The lost language of inner healing was never meant to be dramatic or demanding. It was meant to be gentle, faithful, and constant. It speaks in calm certainty rather than force. It guides rather than pressures. And because of this, the body responds without resistance. It responds as a loyal expression of intelligence, aligning itself again and again with balance. Joseph Murphy reminded us that when the mind and subconscious agree, there is peace. And where there is peace, there is order. And where there is order, health expresses itself naturally. You have not created something new. You have removed what was in the way. You have remembered how to speak in a way the body understands. From this place forward, you do not need to watch for signs or wait for proof. Proof arrives quietly in the form of ease, steadiness, and resilience. It arrives as normalcy restored, as life flowing without constant interruption, as a sense of being at home in your own body. Let the words you speak inwardly continue to be kind. Let the images you hold continue to be gentle. Let the feelings you cultivate continue to be rooted in trust. In doing so, you maintain the environment in which healing sustains itself. The conversation does not end here. It simply becomes quieter, more natural, more deeply woven into who you are. Thought aligns with feeling. Feeling aligns with life. Life expresses itself through the body with intelligence and care. This is not the end of healing. It is the return to harmony, the return to cooperation, the return to the original design that has always lived within you. And as you move forward, living in this restored dialogue, the body continues its work faithfully, moment by moment, cell by cell, guided by the same inner wisdom that has never left you, never failed you, and never stopped listening.